Miranda, let's ask Martin Davis to join us now via telephone. Mr. Davis is the author of a new book entitled "Are We There Yet? The Ultimate Challenge." Good morning, sir, and welcome to America's Forum.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on this morning.
We very much appreciate your time, Martin, and your book is dealing with race in America. What are your thoughts on what Senator Landrieu had to say last week and how she's followed up on it this week? Has racism played a part in the Louisiana Senate contest?
Well, most definitely. We have to understand that anytime you're the first black anything, whether it was Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball or Barack Obama being the first African American president, he's going to run into obstacles and resentment and hatred that no one else will run into once his presidency is over. And so he's experiencing that right now. And 50 years from now, it'll show that he's probably one of the best presidents we've ever had, just like they celebrate Jackie Robinson years later.
Martin, your book explores how Black Americans can harness and practice political power. What's the single greatest thing they can do?
They have to go to the polls. I either make people of color obligated to go to the polls for everything that our ancestors went through when they were beaten and they were killed. And then I also use anger when I tell them about how the Republicans are suppressing our votes even as we speak today with state ID laws and reducing the amount of early voting and souls to the polls on Sunday. They've discontinued that. So I anger people into voting. And also I tell them this is the only day that you have the same power as a Sheldon Adelson or the Koch brothers or even Donald Trump. They get one vote, you get one vote. Do not let anyone take away that right for you to cast your ballot.
Martin Davis, a remarkable litany of actions that you take and freely admit you believe is important to harness political power and to get people to the polls. And I don't know if you heard prior to you joining us, but we had David Horowitz, who was raised in a leftist household, perhaps that's putting it mildly, saying that a lot of these charges are meant to incite people. What's the difference between inciting and quoting fact? We all know about red meat in politics in terms of rhetoric. Are you motivating people more with fear than with hope?
No, I motivate them both ways. And let me explain. If you don't vote, then you have no say. You have no power. When it comes to politicians giving out resources for your community, you don't count. So you can call that what you want, but I'm motivating them to get their piece of the pie. As I say in my book, if black people want their piece of the pie, we have to practice pie, our political power, our intellectual power, and our economic power. You have to do all those things. I don't call it fear-mongering at all. I call it utilizing your American right to vote, and we should all do it.
Martin, do you think that the Democratic Party is too reliant on minorities for the vote?
No, I think that the Democratic Party is widespread. Now, my problem is that we have poor white people who feel that they shouldn't vote Democrat for some reason, and I still think that's based on race also. But think about the amount of white people on minimum wage, on welfare, on food stamps. Now, these are the different agendas that Democrats want to help them put their kids through college and lowering the interest rates, wants to raise the minimum wage, wants equal pay for women. Yet we have minorities, of course, understand who's practicing in their best interest. But then what about the middle class and the poor working white folks that don't seem to vote on the politicians that have their best interests in mind?
Well, now it's an interesting phraseology. Politicians with, quote, their best interests in mind. And good people can disagree, Martin. But you said earlier you believe in a half century, Barack Obama will be regarded as one of our greatest presidents. Certainly there's an analogy like a stock market. Presidential reputations can rise and fall. But in light of the difficult economy, in light of the fact that now 6 years into a term, things have not gotten better economically, how can you make the case that Mr. Obama or the Democratic Party is in fact empowering the African American community with true economic opportunity?
Well, things have gotten a lot better. If you recall, when President Obama took over as president, we were on the brink of financial collapse. He saved not only the auto industry, but AIG. He's created over 10 million private sector jobs, excuse me. We've had 61 straight months of positive job growth. This is affecting the Black community. Like I've said on other programs, maybe now you only have half of a sandwich, but you let the Republicans take over, you're only going to get a quarter of a sandwich. So things are a lot better now under President Obama and a Democratic Senate than they would ever be having a Republican president and a Republican Senate and House. Believe me, they're taking away all of your chances at a better life. They don't want to raise the minimum wage. They don't want to lower the interest rates on student loans. They don't want to pass the Jobs Act. They don't want to pass the Dreams Act. They don't want to pass Violence Against Women Act. I can go on and on.
Well, you certainly have, and I do appreciate that, Martin, but let me ask you this simple question. An African American with whom I served in the Congress, J.C. Watts, said that there is a difference between the two parties, that Democrats measure compassion by the number of people who go on welfare, and Republicans measure compassion by the number of people who leave welfare and have a job. Would you not agree that jobs are the most important thing for every American, regardless of race?
Well, let's analyze that. When the day that you can sit at home and make almost as much as you can make with the current minimum wage, what do you think people are going to do? Especially those who would have to pay for childcare, commuting, clothing for a job. See, we have to make going to work an ideal circumstance. We have to make going to work worth its while.
Has going to work ever been an ideal circumstance, sir? 30 seconds, you get the last word. I beg your pardon, 20 seconds. Has going to work ever been an ideal circumstance with a perfect situation, or hasn't everyone had to pull themselves up by the bootstraps?
When you pay more in child care than you would make at a minimum wage job, it doesn't pay to go to work, period.
All right, sir. Well, I do appreciate it. Martin Davis, with your new book, Are We There Yet? I'm sorry that time has run out on us, but we do appreciate your thoughts, and there's a look at the book, and we hope you'll come back to visit it with us real soon. America's Forum will continue following this Newsmax Now update.